Now I would like to welcome Dr. Tracy Wilen, who is the author of 11 books on career and business topics. March is Women's History Month, and Tracy is joining us today to discuss the 10 trends that suggest why 2014 will be a breakout year for women in their careers. So welcome, Tracy.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We love to know what these trends are, Tracy. There's 10 of them, so let's start. I don't know if we're going to have time for all 10 of them, but let's start with some trends that are going to make a difference to our listeners.
Absolutely. So trend number one is entrepreneurship. I think Forbes said that entrepreneurship is the new women's movement, and I agree. You probably watched the show Shark Tank. It's very popular.
Yes, love that show.
Right? A lot of women say it's their Friday night happy hour.
It is. I love that show.
Yeah. So actually, we can thank the media for popularizing entrepreneurship because I think it is a viable and exciting career for many women. And in fact, women small business owners are the fastest growing segment in the United States economy. We're growing twice as fast as male-owned firms. And Amex came out with an interesting research study that last year women started over 200,000 businesses. So I calculated that out. That's about 550 a day or 23 per hour.
Wow.
So, yeah, women are significant, and I think that it's an important trend to note, and it's a great opportunity for women. And, you hear about the leaky pipeline in the companies, and you wonder where they're going. And I think they're becoming our new sharks. They certainly are sharks, and entrepreneurism and small business ownership is a great avenue for women.
Super. What's another trend?
Well, another trend is really, we see a lot of the statistics about large firms and about the Fortune 500 firms and where women aren't achieving things. But there's two things I think that people overlook. One is the velocity of movement of women CEOs since, over time quickly since the year 2000. So let me just give you a couple examples. Since the year 2000, you look at roles such as Meg Whitman, who, by the way, also ran eBay and ran for governor, taking over the CEO of HP, Ginny Rometty, CEO of IBM, Marissa Mayer, CEO of Yahoo, Mary Barra, CEO of GM, and coming up, Susan Story, the CEO of American Waterworks. So basically what I see is velocity and movement. And I think people look at the aggregate number and say, oh, there's only a certain amount of women in executive roles in Fortune 500 firms. But it's quickly accelerating. But the second point I want to bring up is that people don't realize that 52% of Americans actually don't work for large firms. So we're missing this whole segment, which is the small and medium-size firms, where there are a lot of people and there are women as leaders. And if you even start to dissect some of those firms, you see, like, for example, in accounting firms, in accounting small firms, women have significant leadership roles. So I just want to make sure people understand the whole picture, that it's America is changing. It's not always about the large firm, the small and medium-sized firm, and women are driving them, leading them, and have opportunities there.
That's exciting. Hello?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll keep going. Trend number 3 is we have to also take note of young firms. Now, the National Bureau of Economic Research came out with very interesting findings about employment and jobs, and it was really coming from the young firms. And, I myself experienced that. I joined Cisco Systems when it was young, and now it is a Fortune 500 firm, but it was the largest employer at that time in Silicon Valley, and Google has certainly gone through that, and Facebook. So if I were to advise women and actually young men today, unlike my experience of being advised to go into a large firm or the public sector, I would say look at these young firms. These are the ones that are hiring. These are the ones where the job opportunities are. And this is where the leadership opportunities are. So I think as we see more women joining and moving in that direction, there'll be a lot more success stories.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Well, now the next trend is all about how at the Olympics we had a lot of women going for the gold. So what does that mean? Why do you think that is?
Absolutely. And, and I wanted to make sure I touched on a variety of industries and sectors. And I paid attention to the Olympics since 2012. That was when it was in the UK, the Summer Olympics. And I noted there were more American women participating in that Olympics for the first time than men, 269 versus 261. And you might remember that the American women teams accounted for 56% of the U.S. medals and 66% of the gold medals. Now, here we go, fast forward to Sochi Olympics, and a Dutch female athlete, age 27, Irene Wust, wins more medals than anyone, male or female, at the Olympics. So what's the point? The point is that there's three myths we hear about women, which this sort of unfurls. One, that we don't like to compete. Two, we don't like to win. Or three, that we're not team players. And I say, no, these are all myths, and women are truly going for the gold, and they're achieving it.
I love hearing that. It's just exciting to think about it, because back when Rochelle and I were young, women weren't playing sports. Women really weren't doing what they're doing now. So trend 5 is about women using technology. What's that about?
Well, if you look at the Pew Research, it shows that women are actually fast adopters of technology, particularly technology that we find useful, like mobile devices, social media, online shopping, and we're also key influences of the electronic purchases. So if you think about
That's true.
70% of the jobs by 2020 will have a technology component, you realize that women actually speak the language and use the language of technology and are well prepared for many of these jobs and the job transitions.
That's good to hear. So you noted that women can sing and dance all the way to the bank. What do you mean by that?
Yes, and again, that's another, I wanted to make sure I touch on all the sectors. And, when I grew up, all you heard on the radio were male bands. In fact, a lot of them were British male bands, right?
True, right.
And so now when you turn on the radio, what do you hear? You hear women's voices, right? I would say at least 70% of the songs are by women. So I said, let me just look up and see salaries of, who are the top musicians in 2013. And Forbes does this every year.
Right.
And lo and behold, the number one was Madonna, age 55, and number two was Lady Gaga, age 27. So they made the highest salary in 2013 of all musicians. But there was a significant pipeline of women following them. Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Rihanna, Katy Perry, Pink. You hear them all on the radio, right?
Right.
So it's just another point that women have many options. They're pursuing the options. They don't see obstacles, and they can achieve them, including music. Now, I do attribute this that the media, again, has opened up so many doors by providing visibility. Without American Idol, we wouldn't have had Jennifer Hudson, Kelly Clarkson, and Carrie Underwood discovered so soon. And technology, you can go to YouTube, and artists do, and they, can promote themselves so they can really find success. So I think, again, society is changing, but technology and media have a lot to do to help us along.
So what do you base this on? You're saying these women female vocalists are now leading the pack, but why is it that all of a sudden we're not being recognized, or it's taking us a while to be recognized?
See, and I understand your point, and I think a lot of times, and this is where the media maybe hinders us, we focus on negative headlines, we focus on the non-positive, right? We focus on things that get ratings, focus on things that get attention from consumers, and rather than focusing on the optimistic side. And to me, if people are recognizing it, you're just not hearing it always in the headlines or in the news as much as, people would like to be, or as I would like to be. And so, the scare tactic gets the ratings rather than this is a great achievement. But it's certainly, these women are, cashing in on the fact that they are top musicians. And let's face it, in the Grammys, they, it was predominantly women winning so many of the awards. So I think it's very exciting.
Well, one of the things that we've struggled with for years is that the marketing to women. Women make 85% of the buying in the country, but yet they don't market toward us, particularly the baby boomer, which is the ones with the money. We don't get that. So explain what you mean by she economy.
Yes, and it has turned into a she economy. I mean, it's really moving away from the Mad Men approach to advertising and marketing. So yes, women are responsible for 85% of all purchases. And in a recent study, they noted, though, that 91% of women felt that they were mismarketed to because men were trying to market to them. And, I think the Mary Barra move in General Motors is a case in point that General Motors knows that women actually buy cars. They buy more than half the cars in the United States and influence 80% of the car purchases. But I'll tell you, marketing is changing. We are a consumer nation, and our population has changed. Society today is about social media to the sale. It's about likes, it's about clicks, it's about photos, and it's about tweets. And we just talked about women who really understand social media and the fast adopters. They are the ones who are driving what I would call the new market economy. And I've had a couple of examples. I was looking up women who run the modern marketing firms, social media firms, right? Wildfire Interactive for Victoria Ransom. Well, Google bought it. So not only are they creating firms that are modern marketing, but they're also primed to be bought by larger firms, firms like PromoJam, Glam Media. Clara Shih is Hearsay Social, but she's published a book on the Facebook era, and now she's on the board of Starbucks. So I think there's a lot of exciting things happening in marketing. It's not the traditional marketing like you think of Mad Men. Right. It's the new type of marketing, which is social to sale.
We love that. So we have a couple minutes left, and we want to talk about Trend 8. And you say, what do you mean by beyond the bling?
Well, when I grew up, the mantra from my mother and grandmother was, the men understand the finance and buy the women the jewelry, and the women understand the household and the children. And I think that's sort of gone to the wayside. Women today understand the importance and value of financial independence. The average American woman is expected to earn more than the average American male by 2028. And the number of wealthy women in the United States is growing twice as fast as the number of wealthy men, and 60% of high net worth women have earned their own. So in a nutshell, women are buying their own bling, and they are investing wisely too, and they account for over 51% of the private wealth in the United States is controlled by women. So women understand money.
Well, it's interesting because Forbes just came out with the richest people, and I guess Bill Gates, who's our neighbor here, is number one again. He's been off for 4 years, back again. He can't give his money away fast enough. He makes more than he can give away. So let's talk about, we have a couple minutes. Trend number 9, you say, question your state that women are smart cookies. What do you mean by that?
Well, women are smart. For every 100 men who graduate with a college degree, there are 140 women who will graduate with a college degree. Women have earned 10 million more college degrees than men since 1982, and I'm talking all degrees, associate's degrees, bachelor degrees, master's degrees, doctor's degrees. But here's why it's important, and women know this. If you look at the statistics on employment and salary, people with higher levels of education are more likely to be employed. People with lower levels of education are most likely to be unemployed. People with higher levels of education are more likely to have increased salary, and that increases with education. So women are looking ahead and saying, okay, so education is the path and to employment and to salary. And so women have been in college and graduating college at a faster rate than men. This is important. The future is very complex. Careers are very complex. You mentioned Bill Gates. It's all about technology. So education and skills are very important. These are also happen to be the highest paying areas, right? It's the biosciences, the technology, and those require education. So women have a foot up on this, and you will see them continue to accelerate. I was just looking at who's leading our high-tech firms today: Meg Whitman, Sheryl Sandberg, Marissa Mayer, Ursula Brown. It's very exciting, and I think women see that and know that.
Well, this has been fascinating.
Very
Absolutely fascinating. Tracy Wilen, we want to thank you so much for joining us. You've certainly tipped the scale for us. So you are listening to Chat with Women on AM 880 KIXI.